Welcome back to Natasha's Reads Right Now, and right now I'm sharing with you my latest 5-star book, which was The City of Brass. Okay, let's get right into it with a quick synopsis. We follow this woman, Nari, and she is a con woman in Cairo, Egypt. I love the setting, by the way. And she has some sort of power, some sort of healing power, which she uses to con rich people out of their money. And one day she is performing a fake czar, which is an exorcism. And in doing so, she accidentally calls upon a real Djinn warrior. And after that, this Djinn warrior, Dara, he tells her that she's from an ancient, powerful people of healers and that everyone is after her. And we follow these two on their journey to the city of Daevabad, which is the city of brass. And in this city, we also get another perspective, Prince Ali. And he is trying to, in the shadows, keep the city of Daevabad and the 6 Djinn tribes living there from just tearing each other apart. There's a lot of political upheaval in the city of Daevabad, especially when it concerns the lowest class of people who are living there, the Shah-fit. And that is basically our setting for the City of Brass book. And speaking of setting, I'm going to jump right into the world building that S.A. Chakraborty, I'm sure I'm butchering it, created here. Now in her writing, it is very straightforward writing, but there's also a lot of times where she uses beautiful prose and really just immerses you as the reader into this world. From the way she describes, the burning sand dunes, the oasis that they come across, and especially there was a lot of food mentioned in this book, which was kind of fun. Usually I notice when people describe the setting and, like the architecture, the homes, and she did do that. But what really stood out was her descriptions of the food. I mean, down to the smell, the spices, the feeling the characters had while they were eating it. It was a really beautiful way to immerse in a different culture, and I loved that. It really gave me the vibe of your mother cooking your favorite meal for you when you were growing up. It gave me like all the good feels of that. Another way I was fully immersed in this world was the Djinn cultures. All 6 Djinn tribes definitely had their own culture and background and religion, and that was wonderful to get immersed into. And with 6 Djinn tribes, it did at times get very confusing, but in the physical book, which I highly recommend getting, in the beginning there is a description and kind of a slight background to each of the 6 different Djinn tribes, and also a glossary in the back of the book, which really helped a lot. So that's why I definitely recommend the physical copy while reading this series. And the way the Djinn tribes interacted each other and with their religious backgrounds, you definitely understood why there was tension in this City of Brass, Daevabad, which really felt alive to me in the book while I was reading it. And like I said before, there are 2 points of view in this book. So we get Nari and Prince Ali, and I really like the switching between these 2 points of view. And usually when I read a book that has different points of view, usually I'll like one more than the other, but because they were so different and I felt like they both contributed to the story in a major way, I wasn't bored with any point of view throughout the book. Because we have Nari, who is coming in as an outsider with no knowledge of Djinn, their religion, their magic, and with Dara teaching her about it. So we get the outsider's perspective, and then we get Prince Ali's perspective. Now obviously Prince Ali, he is a royal, and he is at the center of everything in Daevabad. And of course he's on the top of it, so his family's not suffering, but so we get his perspective from the rich side of Daevabad, but he's also trying to help the lower class in this city. So I feel like we get a very well-rounded view of Daevabad before Nari even gets there. Nari's and Dara's journey to Daevabad really exemplifies the pacing in this book. Usually with quests, especially when you're trying to get to one place to another, at times it can really slow down, or you feel like they're just resting for 3-4 chapters and just talking to each other, which can really just put a damper on the action and get you less involved with the story. But the City of Brass, the pacing was amazing. I felt, we got up to where, she conjures this Djinn warrior and they're being chased out of Cairo, Egypt. And it never just fell off. It kept a really good pace. It wasn't very extreme. You had your moments of danger when they ran into something again. But it came back to a good moving pace. It never dropped off. Now, there is a love interest in this book, and I won't talk about who it is and spoilers and such, but I did enjoy the romance. It was a slow burn romance, and nothing drastic happens in this book with the love story. Now I want to get into the characters of this book. Now, starting with Nari, our protagonist. She is an orphan. She's grown up on the streets, so she is very street smart, and she is very untrusting of people, like to a fault. She never lets anyone get close to her, which at times was a hindrance to her in this book. And as much as I liked her, man, she just made some dumb decisions because she didn't trust people. For instance, when she's out in the middle of the desert and she doesn't know where she is or if there's a city nearby, but she decides, you know what, I don't really trust this guy, so I'm just going to head off on my own and leave him. Even after she knows that all of these, and she's encountered these magical beings who are after her. So, and a couple other times in the book, especially when she gets to Daevabad, it's like the same decisions over and over again. She doesn't seem to learn. But I do appreciate that she is very independent and doesn't take things at face value and thinks for herself. But on the flip side to just thinking for herself, she is, at times is very self-absorbed. She doesn't make an effort to connect with people or to appreciate their culture and religion and have a quiet respect for that. Okay, Prince Ali. Now, I liked him and what he was trying to do, but he felt very childlike. Now, I feel like he is older than Nari in the book, but he definitely felt younger. His mindset, which was kind of, he is royalty, so he's grown up sheltered and living in the palace. So even though he does want to help, and I definitely agree with his beliefs and efforts he wants to put in, but the way he goes about it is very childlike, very naive. But at the end of the book, he does start to grow on me. Like, we learn about his studies and his background, not only with fighting, but also with economics, reading, and languages. And once we really start to get to know him, I started to like him a lot more as a character. Now with the character Dara, the Djinn warrior, I did not know how I felt about him. Even at the end, I was very skeptical. At times, I completely was on board with him, loved him. At other times, he was really shady. So Chakraborty wrote him very well. Like, even at the end of the book, I still don't know. I still don't know what's going on. I still don't know whose side I'm on. If we like Dara, if we don't, if we're rooting for him, or we're just like, get out of here. It was definitely a wild ride with the character of Dara. And that mainly has to do with how well Nari and Prince Ali were written, where we get a very well-rounded view of each of them. But Dara, he is still a mystery. So that kept me, as the reader, on my toes for sure. Thank you for staying with me through this review of The City of Brass. And as always, I want to know what you're reading right now. What are you excited for? Are you excited for book 3 to come out in this trilogy? And how do you feel about Netflix picking it up for a screen adaptation? Are you rooting more for a movie or a TV show? Let me know down in the comments. If you like big books with magic and flying carpets and you cannot lie, go ahead and like and subscribe.